And we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Closer Show.
This shit right here is staying right here all year. But
this shouldn't be stressful at all. I want that 2,500 just because he wouldn't give it to me.
G's private stock lead, motherfuckers.
Let's go.
What's up, man?
What's up?
We good?
Yeah,
we're good now.
We're amazing.
We're having some technical difficulties there for a second.
We're good at sales. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we weren't specialized. We weren't specialized in YouTube and StreamYard.
And we are live. We're ready.
We are live.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I thought just go ahead and just live it up today because I don't really know what's gonna happen in today's show because I just flew 4 hours, and then the day before that I flew 2.5 hours, and then the 2 days before that I flew another 2.5 hours. So I was like, you know what, man? Like I have no idea what's gonna come out today, but we figured we just make it
mega jet lag. It's all right. I mean, I live on I feel like on a flight all day, every day. You know what I mean?
You feel like you live your life on a flight.
I do. It's not easy, dude. There's like 1,000,001 things happening behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? As an entrepreneur, father, husband.
I bet that is interesting. Like having all those things plus being like a dad and a husband, like all those things. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's difficult just like having a relationship or like doing something else when you're also running a business. I feel like it's difficult enough, like just like being like dating or like, you know what I mean? When you're running another business. So,
I mean, we can start off the show like that. I mean,
we don't have to start the show off like that. It's just something that I was just,
good advice. Like good advice is like, if you're younger in the space and maybe you're not in a relationship, you're not married, you don't have children, I would recommend to go hard as heck. Like right now, like really build a foundation, really learn entrepreneurship, really set up systems and processes so that you can divide and conquer in all aspects of your life, whether it be, your health, your relationship with your significant other, and then maybe if you decided to have children, then do the whole family life and everything else that you want to do. Maybe you want to serve in some type of community, charity, what have you, that's gonna kind of take some of your attention. It's really important to set those foundations prior to building this business or any business, because it's not the easiest thing in the world. It really isn't. You get pulled in so many different directions, and I'm a big believer in like the one thing. I think I mentioned it in the last show. Like you really need to be hyper focused. This whole idea of multitasking is false. Like that's a man-made thing. We're not created to do so. And so that's why I would say, that's a ginormous advice, is that if you are, in a luxury position where you don't have all these distractions, focus on the business, build that shit out, and then once you have those foundations and you have the help and you've delegated and you have scaled your business, right now we can start entertaining relationships and children and stuff like that. Because I'm going to be honest, a lot of the business and entrepreneurship steals time away from my children and my wife. She's like, finally today, we just went to we went to Walgreens pharmacy. She's like, can you just accompany me there for a couple minutes? I'm like, sure. She's like, now that I have your attention, and then we get to speak, right? Like otherwise it's go, 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 go. And I sometimes I can't give them the undivided attention that they require. And everybody requires something from you.
Yeah. I used to feel that way about bodybuilding, for sure.
Okay.
So I used to feel that way about bodybuilding, for sure. Like, it requires like so much. And that's what people ask me. That will go like, well, there's people that compete and have a business and still compete and, do well, and I'm like, yeah, but like, how well are they doing in both?
Yeah.
like what level are they really at in both? And that's not the same thing, because like one of my best friends, he still competes, and he also is a successful entrepreneur,
Okay.
but he's also like, I don't want to take shots for this, but he's also still like, and I think he'll agree with me on this. He's not a pro. He's not a pro yet. He's trying to get his pro card, but and he also competes in kind of a different division. I don't know. It's just different. I just feel like it's really tough. Like if you're gonna give, like for me, maybe for instance, I just feel like it's in my position. I just feel like it's really tough for me to give my 100% to multiple things. Like you just can't, like you said, it's just very hard to do. You just can't do it. So it's like something's gonna lack at some point, somewhere along the line.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's just because, obviously, number one, we're human. There's only a limited time that we have in a day.
Right.
Yes, you can. If you are phenomenal at time management, a lot can be done in one day. But I can guarantee that there is going to be an aspect, like you said, of your life that's going to be doing better than the other, because you just can't be a master of the two.
Yeah.
It's going to require more time and more effort, more energy, more attention than the other thing.
Yeah. That was really serious start. Oh.
Yeah, it's good. But it's good advice, man. Shoot.
It is. Yeah.
I wish somebody would have told me that when, back in the day, like, hey, stop eating shit, stop going to the club, stop drinking alcohol, get into your fitness, get your life together, get your mind right, do some self development, get your business in order, because once things really get real, it can be an uphill battle, and you don't have to live like that. You can live a life of freedom. You can live a life of being able to have the capacity of giving this undivided attention and take as many vacations as you want, and happy wife, happy life, like all of that.
Yeah.
No one really. I didn't really have that example growing up, so I didn't know. I just thought I had to grind it out no matter what, which is totally fine. I'm cool with it, but it's just,
right.
If I could give anything back to anyone, is that, like, hey, get your shit together.
Yeah. No, I was having those conversations this weekend because I was doing a workshop. I was doing a workshop this weekend for a business, and in San Antonio. And one of the things that I touched on is I was like, you have to, like, being in shape is not necessarily about, like, doesn't mean you have to be a bodybuilder, right? Doesn't mean you have to be like super dedicated to like only fitness and give everything you have to fitness. Like you don't have to be super ripped. You don't have to take drugs. You don't have to do any of that. But like you got to get your health, to like an 80% or a 90% in order. Because like if you don't, like the way that I was explaining it is I was just like, I'm not in this position to where it's like it makes that much of a difference. But the difference is made when I have to push myself to a certain level of strenuous activity during the business day, right? Like I have to push myself to a certain level during the day, and it's like, let's say I have to go till 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, and I didn't really get to eat a whole lot. But my whole thing is like I can go to sleep. And let's say I have a meeting at like 7 a.m. the next day. So I got to wake up at 5, after I just worked all the way till midnight. And it's like, for me, it's like, I can do that a couple days, reset pretty quick, and I'll be okay. Or I can go end up in a position where I can eat like shit for a weekend, and I can wake up like on Monday and I can like reset myself. And by Tuesday, I'm perfectly good. You know what I mean? It's just like, for me, I think the biggest thing that I see people mistakenly, like they don't understand how serious it is if you have a base, right? If you build the base, it kind of negates and helps you get through all the shit that you have to put up and deal with sometimes, like being an entrepreneur. It's like, you don't build like the physique and entrepreneurship to be like ripped walking around. Like, I mean, it helps. Like, trust me, it helps. Like, I won't lie. Like, when I walk into a room, like, people automatically respect me because of the size of my arms. Like, really, no one gave a fuck what I had to say until I had the arms. Like, that was the first one.
Choke hold me, and I'll pass out and die.
That was the first thing that, like, literally, that was the first thing that gained me any respect, though. Right? Like, that was the first thing that gained me any respect was, like, they were like, it was just a point of interest.
Yeah.
So I think that is a layer of it, but the other layer of it is it's just that it creates a layer of self-confidence. It creates a layer of mentality of you don't really feel uncomfortable, I think, sometimes too, like getting up and talking in front of people, getting up and presenting in front of people, like going face to face with people. Like, I'm not afraid to face with anybody, right? Like, I show up, shake your hand, like, go anywhere. Like, some people are at the point where, like, they don't even want to fucking do anything in person anymore. They're like, oh, everything's online anyways. We got to be in person for it. And I don't know. I just feel like to a level of sense that if you are in shape to a certain degree, you don't have to be like jacked, you don't have to take it to like an extreme, but
Like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you don't have to, but you need to be at a level where it's like people look at you and they don't feel like, man, do you ever like go to the gym or like, because don't you fucking hate to just like hear that? Like when you like weren't in shape, like just the inquisitiveness of people just like, man, like, do you ever go to the gym? You ever thought about going to the gym? Like, you know what I mean? People like just the average person just makes passes and says they like, wouldn't you rather the passes be more towards like, catering more towards like the appearance of your physique, like, or something like how big your arms are or whatever, versus somebody making a pass at you sort of like, damn, like, you ever do anything with your life, Yeah,
no, I mean, I go to a lot of networking events and, it definitely feels good. And it boosts a little bit of your ego and your confidence, because when people see me and I walk in, they're like, man, you freaking look great. I see you on your Instagram and your socials. You're working out all the time. That's super freaking cool. You look great. You look, thinner, you look stronger, you look whatever. And that's freaking great. I don't know if you know this, but for a long period of my life, I was really overweight, dude. I'm only like 5'8".
Somebody told me that. Yeah, somebody told me that.
The picture somewhere out there, like I have the before and after, and I'm not fan of it.
I heard that.
I was I think it was almost 225, and I'm only 5'8". I'm not that tall.
Yeah,
so I was a big boy, and dude, like, it was a struggle, man. It was a struggle. It took about 3 years to get, where I'm currently at right now, which is like about 180, 185. I fluctuate with some muscle
right.
mass, right, versus fat,
right,
bro. And it's a completely different thing, man. Completely different thing. I couldn't walk into a room before. I felt, sluggish. I felt embarrassed. Nothing fit right. Like, it was just so weird. And now, dude, I walk up anywhere and I'm like, I feel great, and I feel like empowered, and I can, like you said, I can go shake anybody's hand. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not like, I know I'm doing something, bro. Like, and I do see a lot of folks that do not, and it helps to encourage folks as well. I don't really look at them like, oh, you're a fat slob or you're a lazy bum.
Right.
I just feel like I can talk to those people, right? Talk into those people and be like, hey, they say, oh, you're in great shape, and then automatically, I don't even have to say anything. Automatically, they're like, yo, one day or soon, or I hope, right, to get in shape. It's just so hard. And then I can go ahead and talk into like that situation. I'm like, yeah, I was a big boy too, and this is what transformed things. This is what changed things. This is how I did it. These are a couple tips. So, because I also want betterment for other folks and hope to inspire other people as well to be not only not only successful in business, but also be physically and internally healthy. So.
I feel like it's a new wave for sure. Like, it's definitely not acceptable anymore to be like
social media doesn't allow that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't just be like just successful and fat. Like there's a few people now. I think like their branding is because of the fact that they're like kind of like bigger, like fatter dudes or whatever. Like it's part of their that's part of like their character, I guess you could say online. But I mean, I feel like me personally, I feel like it's definitely a new wave to where more people in the entrepreneur space who were like out of shape before, like whereas me, it was different. Like I was broke and with the best physique. My best physique was my poorest. You know what I
You
mean?
are. Typically, you are in your best because you're not really focused on business. You're focused on your physique.
Yeah,
So again, it goes back to the master, right? Which one is the master? Is it the entrepreneurship money or is it your
yeah,
physique, health, or whatever? And you need to find that balance of both.
yeah. And for me, it was definitely like it was definitely the physique for sure. Like that was my whole entire centerpiece. Um, because I mean, I felt like I had it, I mean, I felt like I was like, I didn't feel like a need really to like be like, oh man, like I'm not making, X amount of dollars every single week. Therefore, I need to go get this and do this. Like I was always kind of trying to look for something, but I don't really think I had a drive. Like now that looking back at it, I'm like, I don't think I had a drive back then to like be like ultra successful. Like it was more like I wanted to be like ultra successful in my sport, what I was doing.
Yeah,
So I didn't really care about like making money specifically. I was like, as long as I have enough money to do X, Y, Z, then I was good.
yeah.
So I really didn't care. Like I think at the time I thought about it. If you talked to me, I was like, oh yeah, I acted like Mr. Business Guy, but down deep, I was like, as long as I got enough money for my meals, as long as I have enough money to like, have fun, do my stuff, like I'm good.
I was just
I mean,
ignorant.
that's that's
It's true.
that's one layer. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
am okay. I am okay saying that. I was ignorant. I was in the matrix. I followed the herd, and
Yeah.
I was looking for the job that will provide, six figures, and I'd be happy with that, and what have you, and kind of went down that hole. And I'm not saying that having a job is bad. Like there's some people that
You gotta have it. They gotta have a job.
you can be successful in an industry. You can.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it, but I knew that where I was mentally, physically, emotionally, all that stuff, I was ignorant. I didn't, you know, I always wanted to be wealthy. Yeah, who the hell doesn't want to be wealthy?
I guess. Yeah,
Everybody wants to be wealthy, and wealth is also
subjective.
subjective, right?
Yeah,
Success, wealth, all of that is subjective. But growing up broke as a joke, that's all you dream about. That's all you think about, right? Because you're living in the shits. And
that's true.
so, unfortunately, I was broke mentally, physically, emotionally.
Damn.
Yeah, man, it's whatever. I mean, it is what it
Yeah,
is. So the journey and who and why and who I am today is because of that, and that's totally fine. And I'm grateful that I was born into that, right? Like that was my life, and that's totally cool. That's fine. Just staying there is the problem. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Staying there is the problem.
Do you have
But
a hard? Do you have a hard time with like girls and stuff like before you got rich or success? Yeah. Never.
yeah, I had to figure it out. Like I was
Yeah,
into women, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, all right, I understand that I'm broke, but it doesn't mean that I
Yeah.
don't got emotions and I want certain outcomes. So I got to
Certain
figure it
outcomes.
out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I guess that's where my sales journey began. I got to sell this girl on like,
You gotta
yeah,
close.
I know I'm
You
broke,
gotta
but I
close
can
that. You gotta
afford a
close
slice of
out.
pizza and a Coke. We'll figure it out, even if I have to go wash some dishes after this. But no, and I had for me it wasn't like the physique type of thing. For me, it was more like I was into fashion, and so
Mm.
I like to dress well. I like to smell well. So I would show up all papi chulo, right? Got my hair all gelled up, the haircuts were the most important thing for me. Like that was my priority, is to have this haircut.
I feel like it's a very Latin thing.
It's a very Latin thing, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I would show up to school, and although I didn't have all the money in the world, right, or any for that matter,
Right.
when I did have money, I selected specific things that, number one, would last a long time, and that I can switch up and always look fresh. And so, man, that was my angle. So I always looked really, really good. I always smelled really good. I was always trimmed up, and so, and I can speak, man. I can talk to the ladies. The ladies, they love Juanito.
Juanito.
Yeah, Juancho,
Yeah.
So,
You started making up nicknames for yourself, or like
well,
those were the nicknames.
I was
Those
like,
were
yeah,
the
you can call me
nicknames.
whatever you want, girl. You can call me whatever you want. So,
What do you think about these guys? You ever see these guys now? It's just like, I think like that's why, I mean, I feel like some of these guys now, like, they want money just so they can think that they think that that's going to get girls.
that's crazy, dude.
And I'm like, yeah, it's going to bring the wrong kind of girls.
It is. And it's heartbreaking as shit. I mean, some guys don't care. They're like, all right, well, I got the money now. Now I can just pay for it. It is what it is. And that's that. I mean, I don't know, man. That's not my style. And it is the wrong type of girls.
Yeah.
It's not authentic, right? They're in there for an objective. And I don't know, like, it's fake. It's just fake. I don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't even bring the girls, man. Like sometimes they use you, abuse you for the bottles, for the getting in the club, whatever it is, and they pay no attention to you whatsoever, dude. And it's just
That's
like,
true.
wow, you leave out of there really feeling used and abused. Like, damn, dude, I have all the money and I still can't pick up chicks. This is sad. And a lot of them go through that. Although they might post like, oh, I got a picture with this girl or whatever. You don't know what the hell happened that night. The chick probably just left at the end of the night. All right, great. Tag me on the picture for my Instagram. I need more followers. Yeah. I don't know.
That's true.
I think that's weird. I feel like you should work on your skills, being personable.
You got to be interesting to a degree. I mean, if you want to be successful, like in business, I think if you're not like a genius, you better hope that you're interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I would say there has to be like one of the two. You have to either be like just like an ultra smart individual, right? That's just
funny.
That's true,
dude.
But do you feel like there's a cap on like how funny you can be?
Well, don't be a clown. Funny. You know what I mean? Like, don't throw out dumbass jokes and always acting goofy. But a little jab here and there, a little humor goes a long way, man. Women love to laugh, bro.
Well, yeah, it's true. I'm just saying, like, overall for success, like, do you feel like, yeah, I mean, it all comes back to women, I guess, but
yeah,
I mean, like, if you're funny, what?
I do the same thing with sellers when I'm talking to a prospect. My goal is to charm them, bro. Like, that's part of the show, right? Is to really charm them, and part of charming is to make them laugh, make them smile. And I'm on the other side of a phone, dude. Like, they can't see my face, they can't see me smiling, they can't see me frowning. They can sense if I'm frowning or if I'm smiling. But that practice of making people laugh or making people feel comfortable, that goes a long way, because you got to build relationships somewhere or another.
Right.
With someone that you want to do business with, because they, people do business with people that they like, know, and trust, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I have a bad reputation with that, of like trying to charm my way out of situations, whatever. Yeah, but I think it's just natural. Like, you get to a point where it's like you understand that you have that skill. It's like, or I would charm my way into a certain like relationship with the people around me, right? And then it'd be like I'd be locked in. So it'd be like if I ever fucked up, it'd be like they'd be like, oh well, yeah, but it's Dan, Yeah. Like how sweet he is, at the end of the day.
He can do no wrong.
He can do no wrong. Yeah, I think that's how I feel like it's how my teachers thought of me when I was like a kid. You know what I mean? Like they thought like they were like, oh, well, you know, if Dan says, you know, this was a mistake, you did it one time or whatever, you know, we'll let you off the hook, because otherwise they were like, you know, they liked me, you know, like they.
Oh
So-
my god, that was like the infamous thing when my mom used to go to these parent teacher conferences, and she played no games, man. My mom was mom and dad, right? And so
Yeah.
she was like really strict and firm when it came to education. Like, you know, we may not have all the money in the world, but you know, you're getting an education here in America. You know, you better put in the freaking work. And if I hear that you're clowning around, we're gonna have some really major issues. And so we would show up to all these parent teacher conferences, and the teachers will always say, "Oh, Juancito is always such a good kid. He's such a nice kid, you know. He's doing okay, he's doing well, but man, he can talk, right?"
That's what, yeah, it said
Stuck
the
in
same
class
thing.
a little
It said the
bit,
same
trying to
thing
get
about
that under
me.
control. Man, she
Yeah.
would pull on this ear, dude. It was insane. It was insane. She's like, "Can't you wait until we get home?" I'm like, man, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, the teachers love me. They're like, "No, he's fine. He, you know, just kind of keep that under control. Otherwise, you know, he's such a great kid," and they'll let me, you know, pass through different situations. I would never really get into too much trouble, but yeah, it was the same thing. Like that was my thing. You know, that was my troublemaking stuff. I just couldn't shut up. I was a talker.
That's always like, for me, that's always like in my position. It was always like, oh, he talks a lot. I like Daniel's great, but I have to separate him from the other kids. I have to make him sit alone.
Yeah.
Because he talks a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was great practice though. Like I feel that
those were the real skills, though. That's what actually ended up building what I have now. You know.
So I guess I would advise people and challenge or encourage them to have a lot of conversations, man.
Yeah.
And I think it lead into a lot of opportunities. The more conversations you have, a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything that school kind of tried to like steer me away from, like that was, dude. I remember we had this class where it was called like study skills or something like that. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember. It was like it's like an off class sort of, and we had to basically fill out a application for a job, or what I think it's what it was. We had to fill out a job application. It was like a fake job application. And I remember like me in my head, like me just being me. I said something. I was like, God, I don't want to do this or something like that. And my teacher was like, she's like, why? Like, why didn't you want to do this? And I feel like I definitely like I drove that teacher nuts for sure. Her name was Miss Noble. Shout out to Miss Noble.
She's watching.
She might be watching it. Who knows? No, I mean, and she definitely like I definitely drove her crazy, but yeah, I think I said something like I didn't want to do it, and she was like, "Why?" And I was like, I'll never have to do this, is what I said.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I was that kid, you know what I mean, in the class, and then she's just like,
entitlement. Jesus.
And she's like, well, why? Why do you say that? And I was like, because I'm never gonna work for somebody else. I'm always gonna work for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of true. It's kind of true to a certain degree.
I'm rich as fuck. That's why.
Yeah, it's like 12 years old.
Right?
12 years old. Like, I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know.
You don't know.
Did
You see what kind of bike I came up in?
You see what kind of bike I pulled up on?
It's a Trek. It ain't this Walmart mongoose. That's crazy, Dan. But that's good. I mean, it sounds like you knew from a very young age that you were going to be an entrepreneur, which is fantastic to have that kind of direction.
I think I always was in a position where I was like, I don't know if I always knew I was gonna be like an entrepreneur, I guess you could say. But I think I always,
you know, you're going to be a boss. Like when you're a kid, you just think about being a boss.
Yeah, I just felt like somehow I was always gonna have like something else. Like I knew like getting a job wasn't gonna be for me. Like working for somebody else. And that sounds wrong, getting a job. You should go get a job. Like everybody listening to this should if you have it in your life, you should probably go get a fucking job.
Yeah.
But
did your parents instill entrepreneurship or business owning or any of that, or is it just kind of
I don't really. I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't know. They probably be watching this. They watch everything that I do. But if they are, I don't know. You guys can comment on this side and tell me if I have or not. But I don't really know if they instilled entrepreneurship in me per se, but you know, I mean, like my dad owned a business. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my dad obviously is a business owner, but my dad's not really like we're different types of business owners. Like my dad's not really like an entrepreneur, I would say. Like my dad's all about like just being, I don't know, just being, you know, in a situation where these comments on the side, they're fucking killing me.
Focus, man.
Anyways, I'm like sitting there. It's like both screens are just firing off. I'm sitting there.
I guess did your dad just own the one company, and he was just like hyper focused on growing
that? I mean, yeah. So his business is just like he's all about like take this business and we're just gonna like make sure like this is the capacity and what it can do. Let's do this every single night. Let's make sure that it continues to just keep pouring in. Like I don't know. I think he just always like. He kind of has limited, like a little bit of a limited mindset of himself, but like for a limited mindset person, he's pretty successful. But I know a couple people that have limited mindsets that are like decently successful, but they
do really well doing the one thing, right?
Yeah,
that's why I'm such a big advocate of that book, bro.
What?
It isn't the one thing by Gary Keller.
Yeah,
it doesn't take like a million different products. It doesn't take a million different businesses. It doesn't take a whole bunch of stuff to be successful and, you know, and gain success and momentum and scalability and all that stuff. Like you could literally do one restaurant, and that restaurant is freaking phenomenal and it's going on for the last 20, 30, 40 years. People flood this place, and you just did a phenomenal job of managing that business, growing that business. Maybe it becomes a franchise of some sort, or you open up multiple locations, but it's the same exact business, the same exact sauce, and it works very, very well. I think that there's a misconception with the internet where you're seeing entrepreneurs, and there's no right or wrong way of doing things, right?
there's not.
Obviously, entrepreneurship, being a serial entrepreneur, may not necessarily be the right fit for that individual. Maybe they need to stay hyper focused on that one thing. Not everyone has to have an Amazon shipping business and a real estate business and, you know, a doctor's office and a restaurant and
I'm not
else.
I'm not in the Amazon.
I know you're not in that.
Don't put me in that fucking.
You're not in that stuff, right?
Don't put me.
You know, you don't need to have like.
Don't put me in the car rental business and the fucking Amazon. No, yeah, don't put me. Don't put me in that.
Airbnbs.
It's like every Miami dude ever. It's in Amazon.
All of them, like
FBA and.
If you don't have that in your
luxury rentals,
yeah, you're nothing in Miami if you don't have that in your bio. Okay, how is that possible? You don't do Forex? What? You don't trade crypto? You don't have an FBA business? You ain't doing nothing. You're lazy.
You gotta have the iced out Cubans though with it.
Yeah,
picture.
Yeah,
that's important.
Which you're an affiliate for,
That's it. Yeah, I have an affiliation with Icebox.
There you go. You
It's
see,
Saks. It's Saks
if
Mall.
you don't, if you don't have that, man, you ain't making it. But no, I don't think that. I don't think that has to be the thing. Like some people are very, very like your dad, very hyper focused. And guess what? He doesn't
Yeah.
have to manage 10,000 different businesses and kind of check up on all these different things. He probably enjoys the fact that it's a consistent business. Maybe he knows his clientele extremely well, built
Yeah.
massive, massive relationship. It probably grown to other types of investments and not necessarily a business as well. So, you know, it just
No,
doesn't have to be
he does. He's no, he's great. He's great at what he does. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think though. I don't really remember. I think my parents like always just had me just like always open the doors for me to explore anything. That's the difference. They were like I remember hearing the word entrepreneur when I was really young. Like I remember hearing that word because like they had friends that were entrepreneurs, or they had friends that owned rental properties,
Yeah,
or whatever. But
it's crazy. It's crazy because seriously, like you could be a product of your environment. Like that's a real thing. Me growing up, I didn't know entrepreneurs. Like the most entrepreneurship that I was exposed to is either you owned a convenience store, right? Like in a corner of New York, you owned a laundromat, or you maybe ran a taxi cab like dispatch business.
right,
That's pretty much it. Or a barber.
or
You were a barber.
you sold drugs in the corner,
Yeah. That was like yeah.
allegedly.
That wasn't the first option. That's not the first thing I was exposed to. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Dealing drugs. Dealing
allegedly.
drugs.
Yeah,
Allegedly. Allegedly. Right. But that was it. And I was like, man, I'm
right.
not interested in doing any of that shit. Like, it's not a life. And then those businesses, they all ran 365, almost 24/7, like because New York doesn't sleep. And so these people
That's
are
wild.
exhausted and they never take vacations. They cannot walk away from the business. It was crazy. I was like, I don't really want to do that, right?
Yeah,
But that was my exposure, right? I didn't really have any mentors or anything like that that would guide me. And it's like, hey, this might be a good idea, or
that
this is how
is
you kind of run that shit. So
that is
kind of had to
crazy.
figure it out. Yeah, figured it out as a young adult. I figured it out. You
Right.
know? And,
That's
you know,
dope
life
though.
kicks you in the ass, bro. Life kicks you in the ass, and God has already a plan for you. That's my belief, anyway. And so He is gonna guide you in that direction. He's gonna, allow you to meet folks that are going to change your life. And since I was already outgoing, it was easy for me to meet other
Yeah,
people and kind of explore different options. And you hear certain type of things, you take action, and then one thing leads to another. And so here I am. You know what I mean? Which
how'd you
is
get to How'd you get to Miami?
uh,
How does everybody? How does everybody from? How does everybody from your neighborhood slowly make their way down to Miami eventually? Like, how
yeah,
does everybody
they
from that
don't.
borough?
They really don't. They really don't. Honestly,
No,
like most of the people that I grew up with are
still
still in
there.
New York.
Yeah,
It's such a battle for people to leave their comfort zone or what they know. They may not be comfortable, but it's what they know. And so I traveled to Florida multiple times as a kid. My godparents, they were so gracious to um, take me to Disney.
right.
That's my first experience in Florida was Disney. I was like 7 years old for my seventh birthday, and they gave me a hell of an experience. Everything that I wanted, freaking Mickey ears, photos with Mickey, the whole Disney thing. Just
Right.
amazing, right? So I see palm trees. I was like, oh my God. I've seen palm trees before, but in the Dominican Republic, which is a completely different thing. I'm not going to get into that. It's just crazy. But yeah, palm trees in the United States of America. Oh my God. I was like, when I get older, I'm going to move to Florida. And then for For a couple years, I would come visit them because they had eventually moved from New York to Florida, made it their primary residence, and I would vacation here once or twice as a young kid.
In Orlando.
And they had bought a property in Weston when Weston, for
Oh,
those that don't know, Weston, Florida is in Broward County, is the vicinity of Fort Lauderdale. And man, I come into the city, which was a brand new city at the time. This was like late 1990s, early
which is where
2000s.
you live now, which is crazy.
Crazy, exactly. So they they picked me up from the airport. You come into Weston, and then it's like this big entrance, right? And it's just like lights and everything looks polished and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, hey kid, Dan Marino lives in this neighborhood, and I was like, Dan Marino, what? Man, when I grow up, I want to live here, right? And
Yeah.
sure enough, I was 19 years old. I was going through some tough times in New York City, and 18 years old, 18 going on 19. Um, Tough time in New York City, bro. Like I had $0 to my name. I borrowed 1,500 bucks from who is now my mother-in-law. I was dating my wife at the time, like for 2 years, and she lent me 1,500 bucks, and I head to Florida. I jump on a plane and I go to Florida. My godparents did receive me. They're like, yeah, this is a temporary stay here until you get yourself on your feet. I'm 19 years old at this point. They treat me like a freaking man, and I treated me like a normal 19-year-old today, which is
Right.
God knows what they do. But yeah, they're like, "Yeah, you got a couple months here, and then you
Yeah.
just got to go ahead and figure it out." And so I figured it out. I went to university, and then I also worked at night in Weston, and then one thing led to another, dude, and I ended up here, and I stayed here. Most people that moved from New York at the time, I don't know about now, but they would last maybe 6 months, and they would go back because they just could not adapt. And I
Where
knew that
you
I wasn't going to go back to that at all. It was
where
New York
where were
was
you
never
working?
going to be my home. I was born there, I was raised there, but I knew for sure in my heart and in my soul and in my being that New York wasn't my home, and that I would live in Florida for the rest of my life. And
Wow.
so here I am, and I'm probably going to be here for a very, very long time. You know,
Where were you working? Like Sawgrass Mall? I mean,
no, actually, at a timeshare vacation village
oh, like
place where.
selling real estate.
No, I wish. No, I wish I would have done sales. I would have crushed it. No, when I first got here, dude, I was doing like overnight maintenance. So I would go fix alarms and TVs, like a handyman night job.
You were that handyman that if they saw somebody, they'd start talking to him. Though they'd be like, "Oh fuck, the handy here goes the handyman having a conversation."
That's it.
You're that guy. You know what? I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start paying attention to like window washers and stuff, and people like that
You
want to
never
like
know.
have a conversation. I'll be like,
Yeah,
maybe this guy's the next
yeah,
Mr. ACQ.
yeah. No, I'm serious. Like that. That's a
Yeah.
good observation. Because yeah, I would definitely talk to every uh, tenant, every resident, you know what I mean? And just kind of shoot the shit for some time. I had 8 hours to kill, dude. How many TVs can I possibly fix and light bulbs that I had to change?
Right.
Roll away beds that needed adjustments and yada yada. So I would just, have conversations, stuff like that. And that was just my thing to get on my feet while I was going to university. And then after that, um, I don't know how I ended up in the insurance world, but I don't know if somebody pitched me on the idea. I went and got my license. I failed that shit like 3 times to get the license. Finally got it and started door knocking, selling insurance.
You sell life insurance? Why is it? It's always
You
it's
know, it's
always
like
life insurance.
you gotta start with the end in mind, right? Where where does everybody end up? You end up at there's two,
It's
two
always
guarantees in life, right? Death and
yeah.
taxes. So I sold death policies.
That's I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. It was weird, but hard knock sale, and and then one thing led to another. I started selling like Medicare plans and stuff like that to senior citizens over the phone, and that's where like sales really started happening. Like calling people around the country, the shit was on a dialer. It was just going, going, going. Talk to so many people every single day.
You were still on
That
Medicare?
Medicare B, Part B, Part D, all this other shit.
Okay, so you're that guy that calls my phone. It's like, hey, did you know like that you were like,
AARP
did,
recipient.
yeah, I'm like,
Did you know?
I think you have the wrong, I think you
Yeah,
have the wrong Fazio on the line.
that's right.
I don't think that I'm an applicant
No,
for
no,
Medicare
but
yet.
but it was cool. It was like ginormous boiler room call center type of thing, and people just pounding the phone. It was crazy. Would sell all these old folks their plans and prescription drug plans. That was a big deal. And yeah, and then I opened up my own agency. So I was a broker for some time
Oh
with
wow,
all the different carriers. Yeah.
I didn't even know. I didn't know that. I knew you sold insurance, but I didn't know that.
hmm I did. I switched to from life to health with the Medicare stuff, and then I did individual health, which is under 65. That was like my introduction to leads, right? Inbound leads, outbound leads, and then closing deals, right? Getting contracts with different um, insurance companies, and so they would all have their own commission structures, their own plans, and you have to kind of remember all of the different plans. Each company had like 10 plans each, and so you had to remember all that stuff and fit the right plan for the right person depending on their situation. Blah blah blah. But it was crazy. Like that was a good business for some time. You would get paid in advance, like a year's salary in advance.
Damn.
Whatever the premium was for the year. Let's say it was like 5 grand. You would get paid that 12% on the 5 grand or 10 grand or whatever it was that they were subscribing to, and that was good. That was a good business if you can figure out the marketing and the sale. Then you got a whole bunch of the referral business for that was ridiculous. So I grew a book of business of over 400 recurring clients year after year. That was a great business.
Wow.
And and at some point it became like a special enrollment type of thing. So you can only sell the shit between the month of October and December. So in January I had nothing to do. So 3 4 months of work
That's
and
interesting.
you had a year. Yeah. It was very interesting. And then Obamacare happened and shut that shit down
Is that what
overnight.
happened? I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't even know. Okay.
Yeah, overnight,
I
overnight. And
didn't
then I
realize.
I found real estate through a buddy of mine from church. He hosted like a men's prayer group and like for small business guys or just men in general or whatever. And then we would kind of talk about what we were struggling with, stuff like that. And he was doing logistics for Ryder, and then he did wholesaling on the side. So he had the side
Oh,
hustle on wholesaling. Yeah. He's like, yo, I mean, I could use some help on some calls since you already make calls and you do sales. You want to give this a try? And I was like, sure. He's like, yeah, for every deal that we do, we'll you can make 5 grand a deal. It's like, what? And so he gave me this old dusty list. The old list,
that,
a
so,
2 year old list, and
damn.
yeah, it was old. It was an old list.
Just like a piece of
And I would
paper.
just call. Yeah, it was a piece of paper and my cell phone, dude, and I would just call, call,
Wow.
call, 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 call. Yeah, it took me like 3 months to get my first deal.
I feel like it's pretty good. That's a pretty good pace, though.
Well, I wasn't used to that, right? Because I was before I was paying for the leads for insurance, so they were inbound leads online, right? And so they would fill it out. These people had motivation; they wanted to go out and buy a freaking policy, and so you would sell X amount of policies per month,
Right.
month after month, and then this shit took me 3 months. I was like, oh my god, I wouldn't be able to survive on this, and then finally got the first deal in Liberty City, $40,000 deal.
Down here?
2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, wood frame in Liberty City, Miami. Tough.
That's a, yeah, that's a rough
Yeah, but
neighborhood.
40 grand, dude. And I didn't know anything about real estate, to be honest with you. I didn't never had any kind of background. I didn't really have a lot of mentorship. Other than my buddy kind of going through the process with me with real estate wholesaling, I really didn't know the entire I guess industry as far as like buy and hold and fix and
Right.
flip and any of that. Like I just learned wholesale and I was like, all right, cool. So we just flipped a contract. That's great. Let's do it again. And so I just kept doing that. But yeah, I wish I would have kept that $40,000 deal. Shit's worth 300 today.
True. Yeah.
It's crazy. We sold it for like I think it was 55K or 50K, something like that. It was pretty easy. It was fast. And then that lady sold me another property like years later. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah. I mean, we grew the company. We scaled it up after doing like
that was the partnership that you were telling
was a
about.
partnership. Yeah.
That was the one.
We scaled it. We scaled it pretty good. This is before like the Rafael Vargases of the world and all this other stuff.
Who's that?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know that guy. I don't know that group. I don't know that guy.
And stuff like that. It was just more direct mail and referral business, and we did a little bit of cold calling, but it was more direct mail than anything else. And we also had a great opportunity with a friend of ours or ex-colleague of ours, where he was a master at locking up foreclosure homes on the auction. And then he focused on that, and we focused on dispoing those deals. So I would kind of he would contact me just to kind of analyze the deal, but he already really knew what he was doing, and he would lock up so many freaking properties a month, literally about somewhere between 5, 10, 15 properties a month, and so we were his dispo arm for those deals. Yeah. So we ended up doing like between on average about 70 to 76 houses a year.
Damn.
In wholesale, yeah. That's good. It's really good.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot though. Like when you do that amount of deals, man, you learn.
And you were like, were you guys were doing 76. Like it wasn't like a full on like huge thing where like about half of it was automated. You had this guy running this guy running, like you guys were doing that.
I did acquisitions, so I closed my own deals with the direct mails and all that stuff, and help analyze some of those foreclosure auctions. And then my partner would do dispo. We had one transaction coordinator who kept the glue together so that marketing would go for direct mail and kind of like follow up campaigns and stuff like that. And then that was it. That was the team, dude. Like it wasn't anything crazy. It was just him and I grinding the shit out. We would go every Friday. We would do bandit signs in the hood at night.
For real. Damn.
I started from the bottom in the business too. Like it wasn't all glam or whatever. We would go on Friday nights, and we would have our bandit signs pre-done the day before. And yeah, we had our staple gun, and we'd go out and knock these things out, dude.
And that's because on Monday the state would come through back and pick them all up out of the road, right?
Gone. So we literally had 2 days of 2 days of marketing. Saturday, Sunday, the phones would ring, and then we had all the callbacks and stuff like that. You had the city call us, and then buyers and sellers, a whole bunch of people. That was good, It worked. All of it worked. We were consistent. We would do that every single Friday night. So instead of going out and partying and stuff like that, I would put bandit signs. Mm-hmm. On market deals, we hustled, man. It was just 3 of us.
Damn.
And then the guy that did the auction stuff, like that was his own thing. Like he would just find those auction properties. But yeah, man, like that was fun. That was an interesting time. You learn so much about property. You learn so much. You see all types of stuff, bro. Liens, violations.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Nastiness. Hoarder houses like you would not imagine.
Because you guys were walking. These were local properties.
Yeah. And it was the same MO, like the same MO. Anytime that we got a property in a certain area, we already knew, okay, it's going to be a hoarder house, or it's going to be drug infested, or it's going to be X, Y, and Z. Like we already knew. And so, yeah, it was tough, man. And we would go in there. It, he had a license to carry, so I would, we would, it was like that, like
Oh shit.
yeah, because we would. I mean, all the
Okay.
great deals were in the hood, so we would
Yeah.
go with our flashlights. We would go with our staple guns. We would go with straps, right? Like he had his Glock in the car, and we would dress in all black. We would put on boots just in case we had to kick either doors in, windows in, or faces in.
Learning a lot. Learning a lot about you tonight, Juan.
My journey has been extensive, let's just say, dude. Like I've done some real deal stuff, which is okay, like because I was never really scared. I was never really intimidated because I grew up this way, dude. Like I grew up in Brooklyn, Queens, New York, and you just see a lot of that stuff. I walk through the projects, we see fights, we see knife fights, we've seen gun fights. We've seen a bunch of stuff. So to me, like, all right, well, I'm in Florida. How bad can it possibly be? Was what it was. All right, you got some pit bulls. You don't go into that house, right? You know, this, but like my defense mechanisms were always on because that's what I come from. So it's inherent and natural for me. So it wasn't like, oh,
Right.
this is a very dangerous or scary situation. It really wasn't. It was
That's
just
fair.
cool. It is what it
That's
is.
fair.
But we were making some great freaking money because
Well, that's a good motivator. That's a
yeah,
good
man.
motivator to
Shit.
get you up.
Once I got good and I understood what I was doing, it
Yeah.
was no longer just sell it for a 10 pop, right? $5,000, $10,000. Like it was no longer that. Like as soon as I figured it out and I caught the drift and I was like, oh man, I can really use my sales skills on both sides, on the seller side and on the buyer side, bro. We're gonna milk this thing. And so quickly it started being 17, 20, 25, 50, 100 on one single deal. Shit got sexy.
Yeah. My team today just did one for like, I think it was like 72 and a half.
Yeah. Once you catch the rhythm and you understand how to do this thing, yeah, they become really sexy. And your team did not have to go and risk their life.
They did not. They sit right behind this screen right
Right
here.
here. Right here.
And
I mean, look, you do what you do with the tools that you have.
yeah.
And as things progress, technology exists. Like we didn't have Privy, we didn't have PropStream, we barely had access to the MLS. Zillow at the time was definitely inaccurate because it wasn't old enough to have the level of data that it has today. So it was basically public record and your sales skills, dude. And
Yeah,
sometimes it
that
had
is
to
wild.
be in house. Like it had to be in house. You had to go physically see the properties. The seller would send you a picture in their iPhone 1, and it looked like you had no idea what the hell you were looking at, bro.
The original iPhone.
No, the original iPhone, dude. Like, what? Did you just send that on the.
Shit. Let's do some questions. You want to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. How far can you get by yourself if you're doing real estate wholesaling? Like, I guess he means like how far could you take your business, just you,
As a one-man show?
as a one man show?
Yeah, probably if you're good at time management and not delegation because you're by yourself, but just like at time management and you are very, very efficient,
Hmm.
you could probably do max like 5 deals a month by yourself.
Shit, really? You think you could?
2 to 3, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Why?
I
Because look,
I think you could do 3. I think 3 would be the max. That'd be my opinion.
sure. I mean, it just depends on how resourceful and organized that person is. I think
I
five,
guess, yeah.
five would be the max because you're not going to have all 5 going at the same time. That's the God honest truth. One of them is
Right.
going to be delayed another 30 days, another 40 days, and whatever. So you'll have like 5, and it's kind of manageable. But yeah, I think you're right. 2 to 3 on a consistent basis, you can handle.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good like like you have a good operation. If you're doing 2 to 3 and you're by yourself, like that's a
Yeah.
good.
Now it also depends because there's so many things that we can unwrap from that question, but it also depends on your deal size, right? And how
Yeah.
what is it that you need to? Are you good as a solopreneur? Are you okay with making 5 grand a month? And then you could do 1 or 2 deals at $2,000 a pop or whatever. Do you have the skill and where you could do one deal and it's 25,000 and that's what you need to scale your business, right? Because again, I've talked to so many different entrepreneurs in this space, and it's like, well, if I live in Arkansas and my monthly expense for myself and my business, call it is 5 grand a month. That's all I
Mhm.
need so that I can, number one, take care of myself, my family, and also be able to pay for marketing and kind of run this solopreneurship with $5,000. Well, in reality, I can scale my business and start hiring people once I have about 25 to 30 grand in saved reserves, right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Where if I live in Miami and my rent is $5,000 a month, and then
Yeah.
my marketing is another $5,000 a month, and I'm a solopreneur, well, I'm gonna have to do 5 deals a month, right? At whatever, 15, $20,000 a pop,
Better hope. Better hope you can
right?
make. And if one of those falls short, you might be in. Yeah, you might be in trouble.
Yeah. So it just kind of depends. There's so many different layers to that, but typically someone can manage about, call it 3 to 5 deals a month by themselves, which can be very, very profitable. Sometimes, just to put it out there, sometimes scaling and hiring and doing all that, you have diminishing returns.
Oh, true.
Yeah. You have no idea how many people say, you know what? I'm gonna let go of everybody and I'm gonna do this shit by myself. I'll do 1 or 2 deals and I'm gonna make more money than having a team of 3, 4, 5 people that I have to babysit and you know,
That's true. That's true sometimes.
yikes.
That's true
But
sometimes.
it depends on what kind of operator you are, right?
Yeah.
Kind of level of leadership, management, so many different factors. But anyway,
How to balance valuable relationships and financial goals slash building businesses time wise. I guess because we spoke about it on the first part of the podcast, but like I'm gonna let you answer this one because my last relationship didn't really go that well. So I haven't really had some. I don't really have something to show for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna
I
I'm gonna
think we
give it
touched
to you.
on it though, man. Like I think that you
Yeah.
got to put your priorities, man. Like what are your priorities? Is it business? Is it relationship?
I think he's saying
How
like
do you
how do
know?
you split your time? Like what is it that you would do? Like what would you be like? Would you say like you're just saying you have to prioritize certain events and your significant others like emotions and things
Set
like that at a time?
expectations.
Set
Set
expectations.
expectations, right?
That's a
Hey,
good.
whatever. Let's just say it's
Maybe I can.
a
Maybe I can learn something from this. From this
well,
segment.
let's say it's a romantic relationship. Let's just say it's a
Yeah.
romantic relationship, and you met this person. Hey, I run this business, and it requires 8 to 9 hours of my day, 6 days a week. Are you okay with something like that?
Hmm.
Like, am I the type of person that you can handle? Because that's my priority. I'm building a dynasty. I'm building my foundation. I would love to date you, but you have to understand, like, I'm probably going to be gone and not answer your calls or text messages for some time because once I'm on work mode, I'm on work mode.
Yeah.
But if you're like building the relationship on false pretenses, whereas like you begin the relationship and it happens to all of us, like any relationship, at first you can't stop thinking about this person. You'll text day and night, you'll talk for hours, 2 3 o'clock in the morning, even though you got to wake up at 7 5 6 7 o'clock in the morning. You feel that burst of energy because your endorphins and all that shit is wild because you're just kind of like falling for somebody. um and then the relationship starts to kind of get, whatever,
Locked in.
stagnant, and you have that relationship already, you know this person, you don't really feel the butterflies and the crazy endorphins, and now you're trying to take your business a little bit serious, and now she's like, what the fuck just happened? Like, why you don't text me anymore, we can't have dinner no more, blah blah blah. And that's because you set that up that way, right?
Man.
And so if you start from the out the gate, like, hey, this is a very rare occurrence that you and I are going out today, because this is what my life.
We don't say that. Don't say that line on the first date. So, I don't know what's wrong with that.
No,
Maybe not.
I haven't been in
I'm really not the greatest example though either. So I don't know. Maybe don't listen to me. I don't know.
I haven't been in the dating scene for a long time. If we're talking about romantic relationships,
but no, you're right. No, you're right. I feel like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. I've done a lot. I've done that just what you mentioned. I did. I've done that exact same thing.
Yeah. Now, different types of relationship, like family or maybe your homies and stuff like that, because that's also a big deal for a lot of people. Like, right, like you hang out with your homies all the time, like, and now all of a sudden, you're doing your thing, and you only go out, yada yada yada. You're like money hungry, and you get all this type of shit. Maybe those are not the right friends. Number one.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Right. I need people, and that's good. Like I would want to see that. Like literally, right. I would want to test it and see how people would treat me when my priorities are in the right place. Like if I'm on work mode and I am trying to build something and I have people on some negative shit and not supporting me, I want to go ahead and cut that relationship off ASAP, because they were there for a certain period of time, and I think you might have outgrown them, and you need to find different friends that can help you elevate to that next level. And so, we talked a little bit about that in the last show.
Yeah, sure. It's good. What's the biggest mindset hurdle you had to overcome in the beginning of your journey? I think for me, it was just like, I don't know, it's like a mindset hurdle. I think it was more like, it wasn't anything to do with my mindset. My mindset's never been limited. I think for me, my mindset thing there was a thing that I had to overcome, you could put in the mindset category, was understanding the process of really how to make money and actual money. That's what I didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand how, like, what you did to combine to actually produce something that's just like where it's just like your bank account just looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't understand. Like, I was just like, I was working for myself, but I was putting in the time to get the money, right? Like, I was like, I'm going to work with this person. I'm going to do a dedicated diet or coaching plan for this amount of weeks. So I'm going to charge this much. Well, then once they pay, then you're locked in for those weeks, and then that's it. That check expires.
Yes.
Right? So it goes in, and then it's done, and yet you're still working. You're still putting your time into that person, but they're not paying you. Yes. Or it was like, I trade this hour to get this amount of money for this person to train them, or to do some type of neuromuscular work on this person. I get so much. I didn't understand like how to like build something that was actually going to create sustainable income and actually make money.
Yes.
Like, I was just, I didn't get that. And then like, I had a guy tell me in a hotel room one time, I was at a bodybuilding show in Orlando, and I met this friend of mine who's a friend of mine now, but he's a friend of my best friend. And we were there. My friend was competing, and they had met through a group called Arate, and that Ed Milet and Andy Frisella run. And so he drove up from Miami to Orlando to watch my friend compete. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to do a bodybuilding show?" I was like, "Dude, I'm coming. I'm going to come watch you." Needless to say, this guy pulls up in a Lamborghini SVJ outside the hotel. Now, it's got his logo on the side of the car, like it's got his Instagram handle on the side of the car. So immediately, like, I don't even know who this guy is. I don't even know that this guy's even coming. I have no idea who he is. But what do I do when I'm walking past the lobby and I see this car pull up? I see the Instagram handle. I go on my phone. I'm like, whose fucking car is that, right? Because like we're at a bodybuilding show. We're not at like, it's not like somebody. We're at the Hyatt Regency in Orlando. It's not like we're not at
Right.
the Fontainebleau, Miami. You know what I mean? It's like you don't really see that just floating up.
Yep.
So I Googled, and it was like it was some page about like some nursing exam course or whatever.
Oh.
And I was like, bro, like, what the like, what is this? Like, anyway, I was so confused. But it was like the name was like something like Arab. If he's watching this, he's gonna fucking kill me. But I was like, oh yeah, of course, bro. Of course, it's some guy named Mo. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Stereotypically.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
All those guys.
Yeah, of course. Probably exactly. He probably has rich parents or something like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like people know, like, this dude's from fucking Lebanon, and he grew up in like the trenches. Anyways, I get to the hotel room, and who fucking shows up to the hotel room? It's this dude. This dude comes in the hotel room to my friend's room while I'm working on my friend, trying to get him ready for his show. So anyways, we're then like end up having a conversation. He's kind of talking, and I'm kind of listening to him like while I'm doing my work or whatever. And he just starts talking about how much money he's making, and not really directly, but just kind of like his businesses and what's going on. And then I hear him literally tell, like, literally today, somebody in the room literally was talking about the fact that he was like, and then now it's to the point, like, now he's like, I just did $300,000 last month.
And you're like, oh, what?
And I'm like, $300,000? You did $300,000 in a month. He's like, yeah.
Did you do the Wolf of Wall Street thing? Show me a check.
Yeah. No. I was like, what do you like? What is it? What do you do? Like, what is it that you do? He's like, oh, I run a online course to help people pass their nursing boards, the NCLEX. And I was like, that's it. He's like, yeah, that's it. He's like, yeah, I mean, like, he's like, I do online marketing. And then anyway, just started having this conversation. He was like, dude, he's like, business is easy. Business is easy. Like, that's what he says. Business is easy. Life is easy. He said, you just need to understand these three things. You make money in any industry. He says, systems, sales, and marketing. If you can master systems, sales, and marketing in any industry, you make money. It's easy. No problem.
Gotcha.
And I was just like, I said, it doesn't give me anything. It doesn't give me anything to go on.
Let me go get my Lambo.
I was like, how do I get the car, right? Like, what are you going to tell me how to get the car?
But it is a mindset shift, because you think that it's very difficult to make that kind of money. And the reality is that there are a couple of different steps, just like you said, that lead to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that work. I had the similar thing. That's why it took me so long to get my first deal in real estate. Because prior to that, people would pay for a service for a company that I didn't own, right? Like, I would sell health insurance for a broker, United Healthcare. United Healthcare is going to provide the service, and United Healthcare charges $300 a month. I just make a commission off of it, and that's how I produce cash, right? Where on the real estate side, I'm telling these homeowners that I'm going to pay $40,000 for their property, and in my mind, right, limiting belief, I'm like, I don't have $4,000 to my name.
Right.
How the fuck am I going to offer this lady 40 grand? So it's like an ethical thing in my head, or limiting. Ethical, limiting. I was just kind of like, what is it called? Like naive, right?
Right.
And ignorant, again. Not knowing that there's, more money than I can even handle out in the streets. And the fact that the money's really not coming from me, but more so from the buyer when I flip it. But because I'm telling these sellers that this company is going to buy their property for 40, 50, 100,000, 200,000, that's what their asking price is. And I'm like, where the hell is me and my partner going to find, in this month, $400,000? So that was my limiting belief. That's what stopped me from doing more deals in the very beginning, until he sat me down and he says, who told you that we don't have $400,000 to buy these properties? And then I understood, well, there's leverage and
right.
money, and business partners and people that we can tap into that will provide the funds. And my job is to, give the seller the worms and fuzzies and help them understand that I can solve their problem. Once I figured that out, it was freaking game over. And that's how we started doing so many freaking deals, because now I had unlimited funds. And now I have freaking power and confidence to close as many deals as I can get my hands on. So I'm like, oh, I have unlimited funds? And it's like a trigger in your mind. But it was this that stopped me from succeeding. It was just more that mental block. But it's the same as you. Like, you're like, oh, $300,000 a month. Like, and it's 2-3 simple things,
Yeah, it's like now I tell everybody the same thing. That's what's crazy.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy. Is that's
that was a good question.
That was a good question. What future business you get? Any future business?
Say that one more time. It broke up a little bit.
What is a future business you guys would want to start? Any future business?
And that's a tough one to answer, to be honest with you, because in the state of this economy right now, there's very few businesses that I would love to start, even though I think that us now understanding the marketing and sales side of things, in order to scale, I feel that with that practice and that knowledge and that experience, instead of starting a business, I would love to buy an existing business and help those scale.
It's a good answer.
Right? So instead of starting from scratch from the bottom, breaking my head to just get this thing started, systems and all this other stuff, they're going to come with some sort of system already in place. And all we have to do now is use our skill set to scale that business and add better systems and processes and marketing, right? And then run with that. What specific business? I don't know. I don't care. Yeah. Maybe it's a laundromat. I don't know. But they
still do good money apparently.
Oh man, it's like, yes, it's almost a cash business still. And it doesn't matter. Like, honestly, if I can find businesses that I can purchase under market value, right? Mr. ECQ.
That's the key.
then it's, because I don't have to run it. Like, I'm not trying to run all these businesses day in and day out.
Right.
I just kind of want to put the right people in place, the right marketing in place, the right sales in place, and kind of scale that, those businesses.
I am currently in the process of developing a new, I guess you could say, business company. I mean, it's I can't really say it's like new, because it's like a part of kind of like what I already do. It's just that it would be developing off of the shadow sort of what I already do. So, but if you are in my Discord server, you probably know a little bit about what that is. So I've talked about it a little bit before, but I mean, the beta on that is coming out in September. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's exciting
for now. So, okay, last one. How would you, when it comes to the use of the entity for your company, how would you form a pay structure for a partnership in wholesaling? So, in my opinion, I think this is what I think, and then you can tell me what you think. This is the way I have my system set up right now. So I have two different entities that consistently, like, joint venture the deal.
Okay.
So whether I'm actually joint venturing with another party or whether it's just entirely my company, it's still always going to be a joint venture of two different entities on the transaction. Mm-hmm. So the reason that I do that is because it allows me to kind of create what's one for tax purposes, but another thing is for the purpose of organization of funds. So on all the sides of your business, right? So we discussed like systems, sales, and marketing, right? So all those sides of your business all have a certain expense to them. So I have one, umbrella business, which is also the acquisition side of my business, is the main sales portion of my business. It also runs my systems and it's also part of my marketing, that kind of stuff. But my transactions and everything couldn't get sold if I didn't have a disposition side to my business.
Right.
So what I do is I personally have a 3-system pay structure. So 40% of every transaction that we make goes to the acquisition side of the business, which is the main portion of the business, because that controls pretty much the flow of pretty much everything. And then 40% goes to my disposition side of my business, which is held underneath another entity. And then I give another 20% to marketing. So that allows for anything in the situation or in the schemes of thing that would help or farther things with marketing, or go out to any partners that we've used to kind of create our marketing, right? So like right now, like we're partnered with a large company that I'm partnered with, that I'm a partner in. They require a certain amount of funds to be delivered to keep their company going and keep their company afloat. So they're 20% of the transaction. So I create that structure to kind of even those things out. And that for me helps me do it. So I would say, like, if you're going to do a partnership, I guess would depend. Like if you were talking like what Juan does, right? Like if you're a two-man team, right? With a transactions coordinator kind of bridging everything together. But if that's it, then that works.
Yep.
The other thing is if that doesn't work and you have a partnership and you guys want to bring other people on, you guys eventually want to have like a structure for things. For me, what I really like to do in my other businesses that I actually have existing partnerships in now. So what we do is we don't really take a profit share. We have a salary, just like everybody else. So we have ownership salary, and then we just use the profits to continuously scale the business.
Cool.
So that's kind of, and the great thing about that is like, because when you own the entity, you don't have to take out or have a whole bunch of stuff because the entity itself is worth so much. So if you have a corporation that has shares, which is why I'm a big fan of going more towards a C Corp or an S Corp over an LLC. If you're going to have a partnership, I gear more towards the corporation side rather than the LLC side, because it gives you more things to do with. You can do more creative things with that entity itself. And for me personally, like the thing is like if me and my partner ever wanted to like do anything or any other of my businesses, like the value is like what we have in the company, and we can basically just borrow from the company. We can borrow against the company's evaluation, right? We can borrow against its how much value that the company has. Shares wise, we can borrow against that if we want to draw out a whole bunch of money for some sort of thing or this and that. So it's like it just works for me. That's the way it works. And I just obviously described a whole bunch of advanced shit that you don't want to get into in the beginning.
With that being said,
Dan
and I are not financial advisors.
Yeah, maybe we should throw that in there first.
Advice, right?
Yeah.
And you should seek professional counsel for this type of topic, because you could go through a large rabbit hole in structure, right? Like in business structure, and everyone's status is a little different depending on how you set things up. I'm not sure the question for this person was more so like, how would you structure a partnership? Again, that there's so many
pay structure,
but the pay structure would be also depending on what is that partner bringing into the business, what is he contributing, right? Are you guys going 50-50 on marketing? Are you going 50? For example, my old partnership, it was literally 50-50. I did acquisitions, he did dispositions. Any money that we would make from the company would have, just like you, a marketing expense, right? And so we would share the marketing expense, and everything we did was 50-50. So it was super freaking easy. I have my own company that the umbrella company would pay, right? Like the wholesale company would pay my company, right? That 50%. And he had a company, right? That the wholesale company would pay him. So we kind of, that's how we would do the structure, and like that triangle sort of ordeal. And everything was just super, super easy because it was 50-50 on all of it, minus the marketing expense and any kind of business expense, right? And so everyone's going to do a little different. You need to seek a CPA and really just figure out, what kind of partnership you're forming, what each of you bring to the table. Because let's just say that all I do is let's say I'm just a money partner, and I want nothing to do with acquisitions, disposition, marketing, or nothing. But I do believe in your business. I do believe in your skill of creating funds through a wholesale business, a fix and flip business, a buy and hold business, and I'm only the money. Well, why would I give up 50%? My personal opinion. As a business, as an operator, why would I give up 50% just because you're bringing in the money? But you're not doing any of the work. You're just literally a silent partner. So in that, I would structure things a little bit differently as far as percentages and how everybody would get paid out. So again, super large onion to peel
Yeah.
because we don't know exactly, how that partnership is being formed and who's in charge of what and all that good stuff. So, but you had a great answer. I love what you explained, except that we're not CPAs.
That's true. Yeah. Don't matter. I don't know how. I wouldn't know how to do it on my own. So I have people to tell me.
I can ask ChatGPT.
So. Yeah. Yeah. Allegedly, it's what I do. It's what I do. Yeah, allegedly, it's what I do.
So, cool.
I mean, partnerships can suck. Partnerships can suck. So you just got to be like super, super, super careful.
Yeah. Maybe we should touch on that topic on the next thing, like partnership and stuff, because I think we both have experiences like that.
Yeah.
They're not all bad.
They're not all bad. Yeah, but I guess
it becomes a same conversation as the relationship conversation.
Yeah, it does.
So that's for the next.
Stay tuned. All right. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys click the little bell in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Turn those notifications on. Give us a thumbs up if you guys like the video. And if you guys are not in the Closer Discord server, where we provide extreme amount of value, I run 2 accountability calls on there with a group every single day. So we have a morning accountability meeting and an evening accountability meeting to help you Monday through Friday to help you pursue and get better with your dreams, goals, aspirations, visions. If you guys are interested in finding a group to help you stay accountable, give you some drive, you want to be around like-minded people, go to discord.com, download the app, type in Discord Closer, and you will find us on there. Hope to see you guys back on the next one. We hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I am tired as fuck at this point. I'm gonna go. I'm starving. I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna go eat.
Let's go feed those gains. And
I gotta stay big.
To the wife. So.
No skinny bitches around here. Peace, one. I always appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. We will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.